Browns 0-8 at home. Just sad.
I haven't heard you this down since Stocky Brown got fired. It's a game that we're in, and it's a game that we just don't finish.
I don't want to watch anymore.
Why? Why does it happen? I'm so sick of watching those plays.
0-16.
I definitely do not want to watch this all 22.
That's up and down to me. That looks like dysfunction. Welcome back, Survivors, episode 29, season 3. This is Surviving the Season. I am Adam. Greg is here.
Yo, what's going on?
Looks like preview show. Browns going to Tampa Bay this weekend. Let's talk about it.
Well, where do you want to start?
Let's talk about we got some movements here going on.
Making movements.
Yeah. Treader did not practice today. Austin Corbett would play if Treader cannot go. Damari Scott up from the practice squad. We saw him in preseason.
Hey now.
Streeter to the injured reserve with a broken bone in his neck. James Burgess Jr. is waived injured.
Wah, wah, wah.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess, for your service. And receiver Blake Jackson is back.
What?
After his stint, he will go to the practice squad.
Just because he made that video, the contagious video. Hey, what about what was the other guy that I liked during the CJ Board? How bad is this injury of his? Why can't he come back? I demand some CJ Board. CJ Board is my Jordan Leslie of this year. I need more CJ Board. I demand the team sign him.
Schobert is out for this weekend. This is sort of big.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge for this reason alone. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the second ranked passing offense in the league. If you just go by yards, 448.2 yards per game. So they like to throw the ball. And one of the things that Schobert does by far better than compared to the rest of the linebackers is cover people. And it's not even it's not even close at this point. Kirksey, I've said it a million times. We drafted this guy to cover people. He hasn't covered anybody since 2016 or 2015. He's going to slide into the middle linebacker spot. Collins and Kirksey is probably going to get the majority of the snaps, and then I imagine they're going to be working Avery. Is Tanner Vallejo still on that injury list, or is he going to be back this week? And then between him and Kindred and Peppers, I imagine. Maybe just playing a lot more two linebacker sets. But why not play Jannard Avery a little bit more and increase his snap count? Like we just talked with Gordon McGinnis about in the last pod.
Great pod. If you guys didn't catch that one from Tuesday, a little special show we jammed in there. Another one popped up on the injury list today. EJ Gaines is in concussion protocol. Hit the injury report just today.
It's a little late in the week to be hitting the injury report, isn't it? For a concussion. What the hell?
Yeah. I don't know if it was suffered in practice or if this popped up from the past weekend, but we're already shorthanded a little bit, and now EJ Gaines comes up questionable for the weekend.
Okay, so here's the problem. Now, oh boy, that one is a much bigger loss even than Joe Schobert. I mean, because outside of EJ Gaines, who's going to play that corner spot? TJ Carey? We know he can't cover anybody on outside. He has he's just not fast. And now you're going to stick him. Okay, maybe you could have him go up against Mike Evans. I think he's going to get abused because Mike Evans is a bigger body guy. TJ Carey is a bigger body guy. That way you could put Denzel Ward on the other side against Deshaun Jackson. Slide BBC back into the nickel role or Denzel Rice. But who's our other corner here? This is supposed to be one of the strengths after we went out and signed 58,000 cornerbacks to come in and take over Jason McCourty's job here. Now they're all injured, so we're not having any luck. Remember how healthy we just were 2 weeks ago?
I know. You remember? Weird, right? And then just everyone popped up. Higgins, questionable. Willie's hit the IR.
It's not good.
Really hit us in a hurry that all these dudes are going to pop up lame.
Yeah, and now with down in cornerbacks, I was looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The roster. Obviously, we know how good the wide receivers are: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Deshaun Jackson, like I just brought up. And I was just looking on the Pro Football Focus, their rankings, and those three guys are in the top 13 ranked wide receivers in the entire league. The Browns don't have one wide receiver in the top 50.
What?
Yeah. Yep. This is true. Now, I was told John Dorsey is the ultimate talent evaluator, and he can find players anywhere. And I wouldn't even brought this up had Mr. Darrell Ruiter not written this the other day. He said, if there were better wide receiver options out there, don't you think John Dorsey would have found them? Easy to say you need a wide receiver. Harder this time of year to find one that can actually help at this level. Well, no shit, Daryl. We've been saying here on this podcast, guess what? We're not the Wizard of Oz. We can't just magically do the things that Mr. John Dorsey and make players appear out of nowhere and this is the way he treats them. Darrell Ruiter, just the ultimate respect for John Dorsey. Like, he can do no wrong in his eyes. We've been saying here since the draft. You blew the draft because you didn't draft wide receivers that are ready to play now. You took a guy who's not who you have to worry about, right? Is he even going to be there on a daily basis because he's got kicked off his team at college? He fails a drug test at the combine. He gets in trouble again after we start the season. Ratley, hey, he showed up last week. He did a nice job. I think Ratley's a nice pick in the 6th round to develop a guy, but you don't want to have to rely on him. Okay, we knew we were going to have problems at this wide receiver position, and how did he address it? So if John Dorsey is this great talent evaluator, and you can't just magically make him appear, says Darrell Ruiter, why didn't you make him appear before the season started? Why are we even in this position? Why are we in this position that me and you talked about that we are going to be in, and why wasn't it addressed when we have $80 billion to spend? We had 9 draft picks that we acquired. They acquired what? Like 10 other dudes in signings. They traded for people, and they don't address this wide receiver position. Now we're putting Baker Mayfield out there to throw to bums. It's maddening. But John Dorsey would have found him if there was somebody there. The great and wonderful John Dorsey, he would have made him appear already. I'm sick of this.
Might have been reading the headlines, dude. In August,
I think so.
In August, I don't want to, have a hot take here, but I'd say this Browns wide receiver room is one of the best in the league.
Yeah. It's
remember all that?
What this is. This is Darrell Ruiter. This is I've had in this. It's just comments like this that pissed me off. And then somebody else said to me the other day, don't worry, because Dorsey, he can tell what good talent is, and he's going to put it on this team. Okay, great, I get it. Like, he's been in the league a while, and he does an adequate job at what he does. But quit bowing to authority all the time and saying, like, oh, when I give an opinion, oh, well, what do you know? You're not a GM. Look, it's not that hard. It's not that hard of a job to go, hey, you have a problem at your wide receiver position. You need to fix it. You have a problem at your tackle position. You need to fix it. You have a problem at your line. We sat here. Every single problem that we said was going to be a problem is still a problem. Linebacker's a problem. Wide receiver's a problem. Tackles are a problem. Now, am I expecting all that stuff to get fixed overnight? No, I was not. But let's not act like you couldn't have addressed it better than what you did. And it's that bowing to authority by Mr. Darrell Ruiter when he took every single chance that he had to smack down Sashi when he was here. And every single time he would let somebody go, oh, you could have had him, could have had this fucking guy, you could have had that dude. And then what's he do? Well, John Dorsey can't get all the wide receivers in the league. He just can't do it all. Like, come on, dude. It's enough. Really, when we let's look at the signings real quick. Oh, Michael Kendricks. Well, the Eagles didn't want him, maybe because he was getting investigated by the feds. We'll take him. Then you grab Donald Stevenson, doesn't even play it down. You get rid of Isaiah Crowell. You get Carlos Hyde, who's doing better there. What's the better signing there? You get rid of Durango. You get Earl Watford. Great. What an acquisition. We're doing so much better. We get rid of Jamie Meter. You get Carl Davis. Would you like to see some Jamie Meter in this defense? Because Jamie Meter at least produced. Get rid of Carl Nassib, get a Fetty O'Dagambo or whatever the hell that guy's name. It's not on the team anymore. Or Chris Smith. Get rid of Nate Orchard. Get Chris Smith. Who am I missing?
Thomas,
Chad Tom. I'm not even getting into the rookies because because people want to give him credit for that. Well, look at all the rookies. Look how good the rookies are playing. Yeah, he had 5 picks in the first 66. We said this going into the year. An idiot can make this team good this year. An idiot can do it. So quit acting like John Dorsey is a fucking god already. I can't take it. I'm sick of reading people acting like, oh, he can't do anything wrong. There's a lot of moves he's already made that are wrong moves. You gave a 3rd round pick for Tyrod Taylor. You could have had a starter. We got Tyrod Taylor. Okay? What is he doing for us? Nothing. So quit acting like this is a good acquisition. Well, he made Baker work for his job, so we did it. Look, he did what he was supposed to do. He's played 2 games, and it was the worst 2 games. We couldn't wait for him to get out of there. Like, give me a break already. We're crowning this guy as the greatest thing to ever happen to Cleveland, and what has he done? He came in with a boatload of money to spend, and he's done an adequate job. Quit acting like it's free. It's clear sailing from here on to the Super Bowl because it's in John Dorsey's hands. It's enough of that. We have Hugh Jackson to worry about that. We don't even know what the hell he's doing in his mind half the times. He's not even sure how to evaluate talent. Our only hopes is that John Dorsey, keeps making these little moves. I'm glad he didn't blow all his money this year. And so don't get me wrong in saying that. Keeps making, moves to get better and finds a coach that is going to come in and be able to help him say, this is the kind of team I want to have, and I want you to mold the players around the kind of team the way I want them to play. And John Dorsey, you take that. I'm going to, give you this guidelines of the players that I want, and you go out and find them for me. Right? Is that what we're missing? Because to me, that's what it seems like we're missing. Am I wrong here?
Nope, you're not wrong. I totally agree with you.
I just can't take it. I can't take these people. It's just nonstop. Oh, well, Sashi never, he went 1-30. Well, no shit, he did, because we were not trying to win games. We were trying to acquire talent. There's tons of young talent all across this team. It's young guys all across because you were able to get all these draft picks and you're building your team through that. You're not building the thing through free agency. So quit acting like, oh, well, you got EJ Gaines. He's injured. Terrence Mitchell, he's injured. We got TJ Carey. He can't guard anybody outside of the slot. Great. We added cornerbacks. They're not that great, though. They're just average dudes. That's it.
Yeah. And just
they're not great.
Sort of threw a bunch of dartboards or threw a bunch of darts to try to get some receivers, and none of those really worked out either.
Yes, and I'm fine with that. But don't act like he can't make any, like he's fail proof, because that's not true. He's added plenty of guys here that don't move the needle at all. In fact, okay, well, you got rid of Rod Johnson, you add Greg Robinson. Does that help your team? No, but it gives somebody in the press something to go, well, they changed 31 players. Yeah, they changed, and 28 of them don't do anything for your team at all. You literally made a horizontal change. You didn't go up or down. We went from this guy to that guy. They're both Jags. Neither one really matter in the long run. Does it matter that we lose Carl Nassib? No, but it doesn't matter when you add Chris Smith. Right. It's the same shit.
That's why that
you're not adding
bottom end
That's why
of the roster is so expendable. It's just it's turnoverable. It's move some new ones in, and all you need is like 1 or 2 to hit, and then okay, that's pretty successful. And then the other 30 the other 28 can get moved next year or the year after, or
and you can keep turning over until you find the guys that fit your system. But you have to have a coach there to tell you the kind of guys he wants for a system. So we're almost we're almost spinning our wheels here because we're keeping around a lame duck coach that they're probably not even going to keep anyways. And then whoever comes in next is going to have to go to John Dorsey and go, well, I don't like this guy, or this guy because he doesn't fit what I'm trying to do. And then Dorsey goes, okay, well, I'll go get the guy. That's the way a coach GM relationship is supposed to work. It's right now it's Hugh bowing down to Dorsey. Well, John got us some good players. Well, you can't find good players too? What do you do all summer? What do you do
How much of
Like,
this
Jesus.
is the because now we're seeing if Hugh gets fired, so and so are names to replace, where we didn't see those a couple weeks ago. Is this like the week to week, the thing that we talked about with looks like Darnold was the choice and the Browns made a mistake taking Baker because we lost last week and we didn't look good against the Chargers. But nobody was saying those things, after the Ravens game or after the Jets game.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of this week to week panic. Yeah, if we're winning, Dorsey's great. If we're losing, Dorsey's no good. Like the coaching staff doesn't know what they're doing.
No, I don't think it's No, I think you're wrong. I think Dorsey has remained great through this whole thing, and now he's the second coming of Jesus. Like, thank God Dorsey's here. That's what it's been. It's all on Hugh. Who's ever said one thing bad about Dorsey at this point? It's all he's done everything right, and I'm saying he's done really. I'm not. I mean, I've said all along, Dorsey, what he did over the summer and the acquisitions he made are fine, but it wasn't like these great acquisitions in free agency or anything. Like, people were acting like, oh, we're so much better. You just take the same exact team we had last year and you put Baker Mayfield at quarterback and we're winning 4 or 5 games without a question. I mean, we were in games last year that we just blew, that we just basically gave away.
Yeah.
We just gave away games last year. Our team is more talented depth-wise, but it's not like we just went up with this immense talent like, oh, now all of a sudden these guys put us over the hump. No, the guys that are going to put us over the hump are these guys that are in year 3, year 2, and the rookies. And when they finally come into their own, that's going to be the guys. I mean, look, Dorsey's done nice things. I like what he's done. I like that he's been conservative in his approach, and he wasn't like going and spending all the money this year. Like, you needed like a blocking tight end, adding Darren Fells. I look at that, I go, that's a good signing, because that's what we've been looking for a while. And nobody in the media is going to talk about, hey, nice job signing Darren Fells, because nobody looks at it. They're looking only at the big names. You got Tyrod Taylor, you got Jarvis Landry. Yeah, if you get Jarvis Landry for a 4th and a 7th, excellent job. But when you pay him $16 million a year, then we start to question. Like, that's a lot of money to play a slot receiver. He's the number 1 slot receiver in the game. You can argue that. That's fine. Well, the Bucs are terrible against the slot receiver. So this week, he better show up with 100-some yards. If Tyler Boyd from the Bengals, who most people probably don't even know that watch football on just watch the Browns, can go out and get like 130 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then I better hope that Jarvis Landry can get at least 100 yards and a touchdown in this game, right? I mean, that's what an expectations would be.
Oh yeah.
So
he needs to start stepping it up, because he's not doing himself any favors by really going out and having substandard games, a little bit lacking effort, kind of those things. What about the whole team in general, sort of lacking effort? Maybe it's just because they were down in the second half, but do you think that's where some of this Hugh stuff is coming up from?
I don't, I mean, if we go back to that game, I just feel like, again, it was just one of those games where you just did not show up. And that's, hopefully they just put it behind them. It's one of those games you come out and you're just terrible. It's like the Jags give up 40 points to Dallas last week.
Right.
What?
Right.
Like,
right. It doesn't make any.
It's like Minnesota losing to Buffalo. And I'm not taking away anything from Los Angeles, from the Chargers, because they're a really good team. But still, we expect to play better than that. And I think that's probably going to happen, as we get going further along. It just might have been one of those games. But again, like with Dorsey, just real quick, because he hit some of these issues. Obviously, we had an issue at cornerback, so he hit him. So he hit him with a number of guys instead of going for and spending all the money on just one guy. Tackle, you add Chris Hubbard, good signing. Then Joe Thomas retires. Now you're putting in a bind. So you go Sean Coleman, he doesn't work out for you. You pick Desmond Harrison. Okay, Desmond Harrison's your left tackle, and he's playing fine for an undrafted rookie. But now he's the second. Look, did you see who he found? He found a guy that wasn't even in Desmond Harrison. It wasn't even on most people's draft boards because 1, he quit football. 2, he got kicked off teams. Like there was red flags on him all over. Is it really a find? The guy was a 5-star recruit. He was an NFL talent from the moment he got to Texas. And everybody knew he had the physical attributes. Okay, that wasn't even in question. The question was, is he going to be able to stick on your team and be be a guy that's going to be there every single week, or is he going to be a guy that quits on your team and ends up getting arrested or whatever? So that was the question. And then everybody goes, well, what a great find. Nobody could have found a tackle like Desmond Harrison, but if it wasn't John Dorsey, the great and powerful John Dorsey.
If you think
that's the way
there
that
was other tackles available,
like
John Dorsey's going to find them.
He would have found him. If there was other guys, if there was another Joe Thomas out there, he would have had him already. He took Austin Corbett, who can't even find on the field. And again, so here's where I'm at. I see people going, worst pick in history. How could you ever draft Austin Corbett? Well, because you're hoping he develops into being a quality player. I don't think that a guy is drafted that year and he has to be good as a rookie. I think that sometimes guys take a little bit of time and you develop them, and that's fine. That's a good approach. But Browns fans are like, what? He's not playing? He's the worst. He's terrible. They should have never drafted him. They should have never did this. And I agree. They probably should have went and got a wide receiver. But again, have a little bit of patience with these guys. He might end up taking over for a guard to the center down the road, and then he's your long-term solution there. It's a offensive lineman. You're looking more this as a marathon rather than a sprint with these guys. It's not like a running back where you should be playing them right from the get-go. We can't get ours on the field. Usually you can get a running back out of college who's ready to play right away. Not ours. He's got to sit on the sideline.
Right. But I'm going to say every week that we need to get him more touches.
Yeah, and every week, him and Duke need more touches, and we will make sure that I keep saying this in the press over and over. These guys need more touches, but we're going to give them the same amount of touches every single week till the end of time. But yeah, anyways, that's my little John Dorsey rant. I'm sorry, I don't even know how I got off on that. I read that one thing by Daryl Ruiter. There's something about Daryl. There's something about, I have a love-hate relationship with Daryl. It weighs heavily on the hate side, but there's a little bit of love I have for him. I don't know what it is.
Perfect segue, everybody. I'd like to welcome you, our next guest, Daryl Ruiter and John Dorsey.
I would love to have Daryl Ruiter on this show. I want to get Daryl. I want to pick his brain. I just want him. I would say, Daryl, who are the players you like on the Browns? Just give me a list of players you like, because every time that we get rid of one, when it was Sashi, you couldn't fucking believe it. And I guarantee we going forward, if they get, if one doesn't work out, it was like, he'll have some excuse for it, because John Dorsey wouldn't have made that mistake. That guy just wasn't producing, and he can't be here anymore. John Dorsey knows. He knows a cornerback when he sees one.
Daryl's sort of the worst kind of writer that just sort of Daryl Ruiter, where he just sort of whatever way the wind's blowing that day, he's like, oh, I'm on this side now.
Oh no, he's the reactionary writer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I like? I like the guy that puts his balls on the line and says he goes out. But all right, let's like Pete. You know what Pete does? Pete puts his balls on the line because he's going to make an opinion. He's going to go out and watch film, and he's going to say, all right, I watched this guy play in college. This is where I project him. This guy's on the Browns. All right, even though we're all Browns fans and we don't like to have players that aren't good, Pete will say, this guy's not good, in my opinion. Okay, and maybe he ends up, being halfway decent. Maybe he ends up sucking. But every time he puts his balls on the line and makes a prediction, he doesn't wait till things happen and then reacts to it. It's saying, hey, I could be wrong, I could be right, but hopefully I'm right more than I'm wrong. And then that makes people want to listen to me because I'm giving good takes that people has value to you. And then it makes it an actual, something that you want to listen to. Other, like with Daryl, it's like, this happened, and this is my reaction to it. I'm never going to say who the Browns should draft. I'm never going to say what what the Browns should have did in their last game to be better. I'm never going to give a prediction. I'm never going to do any of that. I'm not going to do any hard work that could put myself out on a limb, because then I could be wrong. That's pussy. That's what pussies do. Put yourself on a limb, make a fucking prediction, and if you're wrong, you're wrong, and everybody's going to be wrong. Everybody's wrong. Bill Belichick's made bad draft picks before. He's the greatest football coach in our lifetime. Whoever the greatest GM is of all time, guaranteed he's made bad picks before. Everybody's going to mess it up, but you just want to be right more than what you're wrong. That's all you're looking for.
Well, you're either right or you learn something, I believe
exactly.
is the quote. So as long as you're learning, all right, I went through my process. This is how I felt. This is what I saw. All right, that guy didn't work out. Let me go back and recheck my work on that one.
Exactly.
What did I see?
Yes.
What didn't I like? Oh, this guy's a problem in the locker room. Okay, well, that's a little different. All right, I could see how that didn't work out. He doesn't want to try. He doesn't want to play football. He's not into it. That's something that, I might have missed. Or, this guy was athletic and I overvalued, his route running. Maybe I overlooked his route running for, his athletic traits. Shit like that. Put your process out there, figure it out, figure out what you want to do, and then reevaluate your process after year 1, after year 2, after year 5, after year 10, and then see where you're at. But if you just chase these dudes around and go, well, he's a Brown, I really like him, I'm glad he's on our team, or you think you can't criticize players that are on the team, or you can't criticize management because I was never a GM or I never played pro football. Suddenly,
what did Greg Williams say? Have you ever called? What did Greg Williams say? Have you ever called a play before? Do I need to call plays to know that blitzing the whole team on 3rd down and 22? So you leave the screen pass wide open and it gets picked up is a bad idea when you can just play the sticks. Do I need to call plays in my life to know that's a bad idea, Greg? I don't think so. That's just there's some things you can just watch enough and know. It's just common sense. And I hate that. I hate that bowing down to authority because, well, you didn't do this. It doesn't matter if I did that. I guarantee I can give you an educated opinion of it because I sit here and watch it all day. You know what I mean? I sit here, this is what I do for my fun. Some people read books, some people go on a bike ride. I sit there and watch football film all day. Okay, this is what I do, and that's what if that's what you do, and that's something like what Pete does. Pete sits there and does that same thing. He puts in the work, so then he's not afraid to give his take. It's just I can't stand that secondary stuff after the fact guy. After the fact, here's my take. Who cares?
Yeah,
put your balls on the line, pussy. Can't take that shit. There was something else I was going to bring up about what you just said there, but now I forgot. It doesn't matter. I'm all angry, and we're going to win this week.
No, it was probably good to sort of reevaluate our position there, make sure everybody knows what we're thinking going forward as well.
Yeah. And to be I'm telling you right now, I think John Dorsey has done fine. So I don't want anybody saying, you just think John Dorsey's doing a terrible job. No, I think he's done an adequate job. But I'm not ready to say this guy he's hit a home run. Did he hit a home run with drafting Baker Mayfield? Yes. Guess who else wanted to draft Baker Mayfield? Little old me. Little old Adam, we just sit here behind a microphone talking about Browns podcast. Guess what? We wanted to do it too. Does that make us the next great GM? No.
If there was a wide receiver out there, I could probably find him.
I could. I would have found you a wide receiver in a draft. I tell you that you can rely on, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. All right. You want to move on, or you got anything else
yes.
to fire out?
No. I've had enough. I'm angry. I need to get my blood pressure down. So let's get into this game a little bit. So the one thing that is an obvious worry is just how we were picked apart, basically. In the first half, last week when the Chargers had to throw, they threw at will, right? And we know that's probably what the Bucs are going to be able to do against us. But the other thing that the Chargers did so effectively running the ball is like the worst thing that Tampa Bay does. Tampa Bay is 31st in the league running the ball at 79.8 yards per carry. So if there's any like
per game
consolation, some way that we don't have to worry about the run, we can play the pass a little heavier. This is the week we can do it because Tampa Bay is just absolutely struggling carrying the ball. And they drafted a guy I liked. I would have missed on this one, Ronald Jones, and Ronald Jones can barely even see the field right now, and their running game is so bad.
Yeah. Who's their starter? Peyton Barber, third-year guy.
Peyton Barber, yes.
Auburn, I think.
Most of it's offensive line issues that they're struggling with, though. There's just nowhere to run for the most part for these guys. Not that Peyton Barber is a dynamic runner or anything, but they just rely so much on their passing game. It hasn't really affected them too much. I mean, they score the crap out of the ball. They're scoring 28.2 points per game compared to the Browns 21.3 points per game. But the one place that we can really get them in is just how terrible their defense is. I mean, I don't know. What do you think the most points per game that a defense has ever given up? Because Tampa Bay could set the record. They're giving up 34.6 points per game right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
34 point. Have you ever seen a number that high?
No, maybe, but that's, new NFL. That might be that might be normal these days.
Yeah. That's pitiful. That's pitiful. And we're 20th in the league at 25.2 points per game. It might even be higher than what we averaged last year. And I think our defense is better than it was last year. Like the difference might have been last year is that teams probably, really had a chance to just slow it down in the second half, maybe not have to put up so many points because we weren't in as many games. So maybe that's part of the reason. I don't know. I'd really like to get into it.
Yeah, and
a little bit more. We played good offenses
too. We're only 6 games in.
Yeah,
so there's more games to go.
But this is really the offense versus defense. Where Football Outsiders has the Browns 6th in defense, Tampa Bay 32nd, and then when you flip that over to the offense, the Browns are 30th offense and Tampa Bay's 5th. So this is the classic offense versus defense. What do they always say? Defense wins championships, but not today, not in today's football. I would argue offense is more important than defense. So it has me a little worried. But the thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that I think when you look at the scoring of quarterbacks that go up against Tampa Bay, it's astronomical from a fantasy view standpoint, which gives me hope that Baker's really going to be able to light up this defense this week. The problem is who's going to catch it for us.
Yeah, we still have the issue of no receivers.
Well, John Dorsey, if there was one out there, John would have found.
Well, you got to, let's see, get the ball to Duke more this week. Okay, try to get DeValve, into the lineup. And Njoku.
Who set the valve?
Callaway.
Well, it's not Hugh Jackson's place to tell Todd Haley who to use. It's not his play. It's not like he's the head coach. The offensive coordinator, he calls the plays and tells him who's in there. Like, come on. This is stuff that people say. People really say stuff like that. Hugh can't manage his freaking staff, and Hugh can't manage who the players are. If Hugh wants to see more Nick Chubb, if Hugh wants Duke to get the ball more, then why doesn't Hugh just make it happen?
Yeah, and if he doesn't have the power to do then he's useless.
That's a problem. Yeah. I'm going to go down to Todd's office. I'm going to see if he'll use Duke a little bit more this week. Todd, it's you. Do you think that Nick might be able to get a carry or two more?
Get out of my office, Hugh. Don't bother me.
What kind of organization are we running? All it takes is one win, and we'll come back, and I'll be like, see, Dorsey got it all right. Hugh did everything right. He's been the best coach around. So there are some issues there, with who we're going to throw the ball to. So.
Gerald McCoy did not practice today for them. That could be useful if he is out. He's questionable.
Yeah, so that gives us something, a little bit of hope, I guess.
Yeah, he's got where's he? 1.5 sacks on the year. I don't know what his hurries and everything else are. but he's a beast inside.
Yeah, I was looking at something. You would have, in the past game, David Njoku has 4 less receptions than what Jarvis Landry does, and like 20 less passes thrown his way. Do you think this could be a week where we could maybe, I mean, and everybody kills David Njoku for drops, right? And and rightfully so. I mean, he has 5 drops. He drops the ball far too much, but he's been way more efficient than thrown to our wide receivers so far this year. When you're talking about just getting the ball and actually catching it, I mean, his catch percentage, not actual catch percentage, I mean, like reception percentage from balls thrown his way is like 20 points higher than Landry's or something. When they throw the ball to him, he's at least doing something with it. So I don't know, man. I don't know if this is the defense to do it because their secondary is so banged up. Really, this is the week where you should be getting your wide receivers, should be really exploiting the defense. They have a good linebacker and David. They have players there at the linebacker position, but outside, I mean, Vernon Hargreaves was out for the year.
Yeah, Chris Conte, their starting safety.
Brett Grimes is on his last leg. I mean, he's like, in football years, he's like ancient. This is a year where it's like Antonio Callaway should be open. Baker should be able to be hitting him. We know Jarvis is going to be open. I mean, I really expect these guys to have a big game, and if they come away with a substandard game, I mean, that's going to make I think that's just going to exacerbate that people, that whole problem, and people are just going to be calling for it. I don't care what you have to do. I mean, get me Des Bryant, trade for Amari Cooper, trade for who, you know what I mean? Like that, people are going to be screaming that because this is a game where you should just be lighting them up.
Yeah, they do have Jason Pierre-Paul. He's their good edge player.
Yeah, that's it.
Vita Vea, their first-round pick. I think he's only played in 2 games. I don't even know how many snaps he has. Yeah, Pierre-Paul has 5 sacks. Vita Vea has been useless this year.
Yeah, well, he's been banged up. But then again,
snaps,
okay,
like
now you draft a defensive tackle like in the top 12, where they picked 12 or something like that, didn't they? And not take Derwin James. Oh, how would Derwin James look here right now? Come on. It's dumb. And again, this is a guy, I've never drafted anybody, but whoever the hell they're I know the guy because I watched Hard Knocks. They were on Hard Knocks. He sounds like an idiot. He looks like an idiot. And he obviously drafts like one. So I just don't know. I mean, these people work in the NFL. They have these jobs and they constantly do dumb things. So this, that whole argument, well, he's a GM. You're not one. That's all I got to say. Look at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That guy's a GM. He drafted Vita Vea over freaking Derwin James. And we just saw Derwin James. What did I tell you Derwin James was going to do last week? He had a sack. He had a ton of tackles. He was all over the field. Boy, he would look pretty good playing our linebacker position this week with one of our guys out. I know that much.
I think we talked about this earlier with their good receivers between Evans, Deshaun Jackson, the kid Godwin from Penn State. What do you do with Ward this week?
Oh, yeah, it's Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson is playing so efficiently right now, and I don't have his stats right here in front of me. Actually, I think I do. But he's playing so efficiently. Football Outsiders has him the number 1 wide receiver, and Pro Football Focus both have him as the number 1 rated receiver right now. And he only has 21 receptions on the year. So you go, what, 21 receptions? Well, he ain't doing that. Yeah, it's for 501 yards. So he's averaging 24 yards a reception, 3 touchdowns. That's 21 receptions on just 31 targets too. Extreme, they're hitting them deep and they're hitting them successfully on 67% of the throws they make to him. So he's doing the job getting downfield. That's the biggest worry. I think Denzel Ward matches up with him the best because he's a smaller stature, fast. Denzel Ward's going to be able to keep up with him. And then obviously you have Mike Evans, who's doing more of the possession things this year, but he can still get downfield and make the big play. But even he's doing it from an efficiency standpoint. 33 receptions, 484 yards, 3 touchdowns. So that's on 44 targets to him. He's getting the majority of the targets, but he's still a 75% catch rate. I mean, that's outstanding. Our wide receivers and tight ends, nowhere near that. I mean, It was Rashard Higgins. He was the only one like in the 60s, and everybody else. Jarvis Landry's below 50% catch percentage. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible. And what that means is your targets to receptions. That's not actual catching the ball hitting your hands and catching it. So I've seen some stats where they said, Jarvis hasn't really been getting a lot of catchable targets. Okay, and that's true. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here, but this is the week. If you're not getting catchable targets this week, then something's going, massively wrong, because you're going to be open. The quarterback's going to have time to throw the ball. So it's got to happen this week. This is the week that the offense can just turn it around, and we're going to find out what we are, because this is basically like playing Madden on the lowest level. Okay, I don't even know what the lowest level is anymore. Rookie, right? We were all Madden last week. We did terrible against the all Madden. We bringing the difficulty back down to rookie, and let's see what we can do.
All right, prediction times. Browns 2-3-1. Tampa Bay's 2-3. Browns are getting 3 points on the road.
Yeah, wow.
Tampa Bay's on a 3-game skid. Let's go through their what they've done. They started off 2-0. They beat the Saints 48-40 in New Orleans.
Hey, we almost beat the Saints.
Yeah. Then they beat the Eagles 27-21. Holy shit, playoffs for Tampa Bay. Oh, let's drop 3 in a row. Steelers, they lose 30-27. They got embarrassed in Chicago 48-10. And then they lost to the Falcons 34-29 in Atlanta. Now they got the Browns coming in. Just fired their defensive coordinator.
Oops.
This might be a spot here where they go.
So you can fire coaches during the season. Interesting.
Yeah, if your defense is that bad, for sure.
What if your just team overall is that bad? Who'd be the guy to blame? No. Yeah. So this is gonna be a high scoring game. I think we'll win 104-100.
104-100, longest game in NFL history. It's gonna be special. And if it behooves you, come hang out in Ybor City with us at Tampa Bay Brewing Company post-game with my friends from Sins of Our Fathers podcast, not Greg.
Yes, I can't make it. I'm sorry. I'm doing this is the most unmanly thing. I have to go on Saturday to Wine Your Way Out instead. Is that I almost don't even want to say this. But yes, it's true. Yes, I'm going with the wife and friends. And apparently what happens is they put you in a maze with alcohol and you have to wine your way out of it. So should be fascinating. I'm can't believe this is why I'm missing going to Tampa.
We can get you a GoPro and you could bring it to us live.
It's terrible. Wine my way out. I might just wine my way back in. And stay in there, pout the whole time. So, yeah.
Everybody's gone. Hello. I'm still at the beginning.
I'm just whining. I'm only whining. I want to be in Tampa.
Just mad the whole time. Your wife's like, you're such an asshole.
I don't know how many people are going to quit listening and go, what? This asshole's going to whine your way out? I'm done with this show.
These guys definitely don't know what they're talking about.
These guys are pussies just like Daryl Ruiter.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right. You can hit us up on Twitter at STS Podcast. Our email is
survivingtheseason@gmail.com, patreon.com/STS Podcasts to support the show. We appreciate it. We have a new supporter. Thank you very much.
Hey,
Ben.
Thanks,
that's
Ben.
awesome.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Hey, go to iTunes. Give us some reviews, man. I see it's just more listens. Number keeps going up, but I don't see any reviews. Come on, guys. We're here. We're giving free content for you. All you got to do is go over there and say, hey, 5-star, best thing I've ever heard in my life. No podcast.
I can't believe how great this show is. 5 stars.
Not Greg's wife.
1 star for Wine Your Way Out.
1 star for Wine Your Way.
Hashtag Road to Redemption, Greg. Tell them what you're going to say in the maze.
Keep on surviving.